In today's video, we're going to be working on a no AC coil. First thing we want to do is make sure that our thermostat is set properly. You can see we are set to auto and cool. And here we're going to see what the ambient inside the unit is. It's 87 degrees. We're going to lower that temperature and it's already set to 70. At this point, we know the thermostat is functioning properly. So now we're going to go to the evaporative coil and see if the blower motor is running. So this is going to be our evap, and right now this is our controls. We're going to remove this top panel. I already hear the blower motor running. What I want to do is I want to get a visual on it. So we're going to go ahead and remove our front panel. Once we do that, we have a door switch right here. Your system's automatically going to turn off. Every system has some type of safety mechanism, whether it's a door switch or some type of switch on the wall. So on this one, we're going to remove the panel. You can see once I do that, the blower motor turns off. Here we're just going to remove our filter. I always advise that you inspect the filter. If your filter's clogged and dirty like this is obviously going to affect the airflow. I'm going to manually engage my door switch. Once I do that, the blower motor should turn on. My blower motor is turning on, so at this point, I want to go downstairs and inspect my condensing unit. Just wanted to check the vents, and I am blowing out at 92 degrees. And this is going to be a lot hotter than the ambient temperature. This is the second floor, so the ductwork is going to be a lot hotter. So here we're at our condenser. What I'm going to do right now is we're going to go ahead and remove this panel, and we're going to check our wiring. Here we're going to remove our disconnect. There's supposed to be a front piece here that protects you from exposure to all the electrical. Obviously somebody removed that at some point. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and just pull our disconnect, but be careful because you still have 240 volts coming in. So here I have my multimeter set to voltage, and I have each of my lead coming off of my multimeter set to the lines. And you can see here that we have 240 volts. So we know at this point the breaker is not tripped. Now one of my concerns is because we don't have any protective panel here. It was raining yesterday, so you can see there's still water underneath the condensers. And what happens sometimes is when water gets into your wires, it'll cause it to ground and flip the breaker. But right now I do have power coming from my breaker. Here I removed my panel, put that to the side. And right now we shouldn't have any voltage coming in because we pulled our disconnect. But you always still want to be careful, and you can always take your voltage coming in if you're uncertain. I have my multimeter set to voltage, and you can see that I am not getting voltage. Once I plug in my disconnect, that will send voltage to my contactor. You can see here that I do have 240 volts. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to manually engage my contactor to see if I'm getting voltage going back to my compressor. So right now I do not have voltage, but when I engage that contactor, that will give me voltage. Here I have my multimeter set to voltage. I'm going to manually engage this contactor to see if I'm getting voltage to my compressor. You can see I am getting 240 volts. Right now I'm checking for low voltage. I know that I do have proper high voltage. You can see here I am not picking up any voltage coming to my contactor. Just want to make sure that I'm getting 24 volts here at my transformer. I want to take my voltage reading here from my C, my common, to my yellow. You can see here that I am getting 24 volts. So this is going to be my disconnect for my condensing unit. I'm going to pull that Again, be careful, you still have 240 volts coming from the breaker. Now here, this is going to be my conduit for my disconnect, and you can see these are my wires coming for my low voltage. So we just want to inspect the wires, make sure there's no break in the wires. I just like to trace the wire coming all the way in. Check my voltage here at my wire nuts. See, I have my multimeter leads inside the wire nuts, and I do not have voltage. These are going to be my low voltage wires tying in, and you can see here that my wires are disconnected. That's obviously a concern. Here I tied my wires in. You can hear my contactor engaging. You see, this is the wire nuts. You can just see the discoloration due to water that's slowly seeping in there and residue, so we're going to go ahead and replace that. So right now I'm just taking my voltage reading and my multimeter set in. You can see that I am getting 24 volts. I'm going to take a voltage reading. You can see that I do have 24 volts. What I'm going to do is I'm going to reinsert my disconnect, and once I do that, I want to check to see if my condensing unit runs. Obviously we want to see if the compressor turns on and if the fan motor turns on. So right now I'm just taking the temperature coming out of my vents. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and replace my filter. This will help with the airflow, and I'm also going to put that panel on my disconnect. Also keep in mind, if you're using a temp gun, this is not giving you a reading of the airflow, it's giving you a reading of the temperature of the surface. So right now my laser is pointing inside at the ductwork. If I move it over here, you can see it changes drastically. If you want to get like an accurate temp reading, go ahead and take your multimeter and put your probe up inside, and that will give you the proper temperature differential inside the unit. You can see here I have my multimeter. I took my temp probe and I put it around here. So this is what's actually taking the temperature of the air as it comes out of the vent. You can see I'm reading about 59, 60 degrees. I let the unit run for quite some time, and you can see we're at 78. Our set point is at 75. So we have the 15-degree differential that we would want. I did post a video on my channel explaining the difference between the two, and you can see if I was to look at my temp gun and I'm pointing it at the duct, it's giving me a reading of about 40 degrees. So the proper way to do it is always going to be going off of your multimeter and using your temp probe. If this video was a help, if it was informational, please subscribe.